All right, here we go. OverDrive off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, and up on TSN 2. Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan.
What's up?
How we feeling on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon?
I'll tell you what. I almost tossed out the Beansy pick last night because you are
I'm cursed.
Mess.
I'm cursed.
You're in one, but
I'm cursed.
Like
That's crazy last night.
Who's more cursed, you or the Jets?
Oh, the Jets by a long shot.
Man, oh man.
The Jets, what's wild is that they won the ball game, which is such a conflicting emotion because
Dude,
you're leaving.
I turned it off. I'm like, this is going to be 40-6.
Yeah. Listen.
40-6 for Buff. And I saw the text from my Pardsy on the group chat. And thanks for answering the FaceTime last night. I'm glad you finally came through.
Yeah,
we had a little football talk. Pardsy with his old Pardsy. And I woke up and saw the sunglasses emoji 3 times. And I said, oh, my God, no way. And I almost passed out when I had my coffee and saw the score.
I know,
I almost passed out.
It was sickening. I tweeted out last night that the Bills are on the verge of the worst loss that stadium has seen all season.
Well, Hazy, isn't it realistic to say, isn't it realistic, as awful as it is having a 39-year-old quarterback with an Achilles problem that could be the end of him, to throw out something like, who should be more concerned, the Jets or the Bills?
Well,
because to have the Bills not win that game and the way Allen threw that thing around, that's insane.
He looked like Sanchez.
He did. He was awful. And what I said was that the Bills are on the verge of the worst loss that stadium has seen all year. That includes the Giants losing 40-0 the night before. I slept on it, and I'm even more adamant that that's the case. The Giants lost 40-0. You can say what you want about Danny Dimes.
Yeah.
He is infinitely better than Zach Wilson. And Danny Dimes was good enough to be a playoff quarterback last year. I don't know if he'll be good enough to be a playoff quarterback this year. But for the Bills to have a lead and lose to Zach Wilson and the Jets, when you know the Jets had to hit halftime and think, we are so screwed.
Yeah.
Like our season is over 4 snaps into it, and the Bills still lost.
He threw that pick, and the team was just like, that was it.
We're dead.
We're dead. But he ended up
Hey, listen,
getting it together. Good on him.
He kind of got it together. To O's point, it wasn't even about Zach Wilson. It was that Josh Allen threw 3 picks. He basically had a butt fumble last night.
Yeah.
It wasn't far off Mark Sanchez's butt fumble.
Dude, the most concerning thing, though, and I'm going to ask Jesse Palmer this, not the INTs, not throwing into double and triple coverage. It's the comment afterwards where he said, it's the same bleeping stuff. It's just a different day. And he's like, it's just a continuation over my garbage play last year. A $250 million quarterback talking like that. Like, if I'm Jerry Pagula listening to that or management, I am very concerned.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Very concerned. Because I could not believe he just looked like a kid, like a spoiled kid, with his red face, and he goes, it's the same crap as last year. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude?
Well,
that is the wrong message, man.
Let's play the clip. This is Josh Allen after the game trying to explain how the Bills found a way to lose to the Jets last night.
And trying to force the ball. Yeah. Same place, different day.
So I have an appreciation for that. I don't think there's any other way around it than to take it head on and say, man, we were brutal. But at least he admitted he was awful.
He put his hand up.
Yeah, right it's on me. I was terrible last night, and he really was.
But you got to come up with a different routine. You know the market. You know how passionate Bills fans are. You get in front of that microphone and say, I'm going to take this one for today. Just like you hear a coach or a general manager say after a difficult loss. But going forward, that performance will never happen again. Like, grow up. I think Dan Orlovsky said it best when summarizing his play. You just got to grow up. He said he saw 7 to 8 plays where he was just out of control and reckless and tossing it everywhere. And it's like, How much longer do you have to continue? Hayes, you've been talking about this guy doing this for 3 to 4 years. Enough is enough.
Yeah.
So you got to grow up and put your big boy pants on and just take some ownership and say, that me coming out here and saying it's on me will never happen again.
Well,
never.
I think that's probably unlikely. I mean, the way he plays, he does play reckless. He throws a lot of picks. Then he's just stupid then. He's a talented guy that's stupid if he continues to go out there and do that. Yeah,
far
he's not
off?
alone. A lot of guys do that. He's just got so much talent.
Well, I said this yesterday on the show. Like, wasn't this guy supposed to be the MVP last year? At the start of the year, all the odds were on him. It's like it's Allen's to lose type of thing. Like, at some point, you got to turn the corner as a steady, reliable quarterback. Like, a guy that gets it done at critical times.
Exactly. And last night was a perfect example of that. The other team is in disarray. Like the aura around the Jets must have been so dark, so saddened when they knew. Like, you guys have been on benches where the media doesn't know, and the trainer comes in, he's like, it's done. Like, his Achilles is gone. Like, they would have known. They would have got to the halftime and been like, what's up with number 8? I was going to say 12. And they were probably like, oh, he's toast, man. Yeah. Like, they knew he was done.
Yeah.
And Hazy, you get a good look. The first guy, because coaches have all this thing where it's like, do it right every day and you get results. And they always have these speeches and all that stuff when they got a dialed-in quarterback. Like, if this is our year, every day we compete, we're going to get to where we want to be. And if that coach just changes his tune when the starting quarterback, you just want to sucker him because it's like, oh, what, now we're dead?
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, coaches are so rah-rah, and then after that happens, if they know they're screwed, it's like, you gotta show me some kind of face and lie to me, man. You can't be a fraud.
Well, even the coach afterwards.
Salah knows it, man. And, like, he's trying to muster up the ability to say Zach Wilson's our guy. He almost started crying. Like, he almost started crying.
He's supposed to be rejoicing a huge win.
Yeah.
And the mood was like,
that's what I'm saying.
Like, he was.
I would have started
funeral.
crying, laughing if he started crying when he said
that's
Zach
my quarterback.
Wilson's our guy.
Yeah, Zach Wilson. We love him, man. We know he can do it for us. It's like, don't
and
even
just
try.
Broke down. If he broke down saying that, I would have lost it laughing.
Don't even try. What's up, Grappler? What do you have?
I would just like to add in terms of you trying to, I guess imply that, Robert Saleh wants to, get around saying that this is Zach Wilson's team. Yeah. He is speaking at this very moment, and this is from Adam Schefter, and I quote, "This is Zach's team."
So he's speaking to the media right now, is what you're saying? And he's reiterating that this is Zach's team.
No, I'm telling you right now, their general manager is like, who can we sign here? Like,
exactly.
Like, is there any quarterback available that they could bring in?
Carson Wentz. There's nobody.
I would have martini lunch with Tom Brady to see where his head's at, just to say, I would have a martini lunch in New York City with Tom Brady.
You think Tommy B could come in?
And I'm the one that said the guy's never showing up again. I would just have I would have a liquid lunch and just say, hey, man, what's going on?
I think it'd be the most incredible story in sports history.
Yes.
The most incredible story in sports history if Brady next week came running out with the American flag as the New York Jets.
The theater was
be honest, Hayes. Do you not think Brady woke up and had a coffee and thought about it? Like, I don't know.
Well, they guess what? They still have to play at Foxborough. They got the Patriots two more times. I'm sure it was in the back of his head. It's not going to happen. He's lost weight. He's living his life. He's with his kids. He's already got his number retired now in New England. Not that makes a difference, but he's part owner of the Las Vegas Raiders as well.
Yeah,
he's supposed to be in the Fox
I'm completely flipped. I'm with you. You never know.
I'd love to see it.
Know, Tommy.
I'd love to see it. I think it'd be the most fascinating story ever. Just one line, I'm back, #Jets. Wow. It would be incredible. I don't think it ever will happen. No. But
you were so right last night, though. Joe Buck and Aikman, as soon as thing got
they were
Rodgers
depressed too. They were so depressed. The Manning cast, Peyton was disgusted.
He was actually beside. Now,
he was disgusted.
The one thing I saw trending, and we got to put it to everybody, including our guests, even Jesse Palm, is AstroTurf. Like it seemed like they were blaming that. It was like, okay, this is a big problem.
Noodles, there's a zillion other guys out there on the same turf.
I understand that. Like, the
guy's 39 years old. He had a calf strain, and it was obviously a very awkward situation. And I don't know if there wasn't enough time to heal or what, but what a devastating 4 snaps. It's like the whole organization had hitched their wagon to this cat, traded away. I don't know what the trade package was. Hayes, you're more familiar with that.
Not overly significant because they had the package over the barrel.
It hurt the pack because he's supposed to play 70% of the games like that.
If he took 65% of the snaps, the second-round pick would revert into a first-round pick. They still keep the second-round pick.
Right.
So, yeah.
But what are they going to do on TV? Are they going to flex this team? Zach Wilson as their quarterback? They got like 8 more spotlight games.
If I'm Zach Wilson, I go the other way. Embrace it. Sign up for quarterback, Netflix, and take us for the ride.
Well, it's an unbelievable opportunity for him. That is a part of the script that no one has addressed yet, is the idea that Zach Wilson pulls off a miracle
What
here.
if he puts his hand up and says, I'm in?
He did go second overall. This is not some guy that was signed off the street. He was the
he's
second
supposed
overall
to be
pick.
the guy.
He is.
Exactly. Like, he is supposed to be a guy that's capable of doing this. I don't like the chances, but he has talent. I think what had to be so bittersweet last night was, again, the fact that they won. Yeah. The Jets won against the Bills on Monday Night Football, and everything outside of their quarterback said Super Bowl contending team. Super Bowl defense, Super Bowl run game, Super Bowl offensive weapons.
Right.
The only thing they need is a quarterback, and that guy's out.
The most important position.
Yes, and that guy got 4 snaps in and blew his Achilles out, and he's done. And I don't know if he'll ever play again. This guy was a darkness retreat away from pulling the chute. Yeah. This guy, takes some ayahuasca. He might just say, forget it, I'm out of here. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. I mean, I know he's competitive. I know he loves the sport. I'm certain he doesn't want it to end like that. But this is a wild rehab, man. This one is dark. It's a dark rehab to come back from this injury.
Is it confirmed he blew his Achilles out?
Yes, it's torn. It's done. He's out for the year.
Guaranteed out for the year?
Yes. That's what I've heard.
It's like an 8 or 9 month rehab.
Yeah, the season's 5 months long.
Yeah,
I mean, he's not coming back. No
high-end
way.
athletes kind of sometimes, but not at that age, too. The recovery.
Yeah. He'll be 40.
Yeah.
He'll be 40. I think it's really far-fetched to see him play again, but I think that would be an incredible story. I'm rooting for him to come back. I don't want to see the guy end his career like that. It's a terrible way to end your career. That was a wild scene last night in New York, and we'll head back down there and catch up with the voice of the Jets a little bit later this hour. The Jays, wasn't a good night for the Blue Jays either, and these Alek Manoah reports are starting to come out, and
they're not good.
No, like the reports, which sound and feel directed from the team. Like, I think the team is starting to get in front of this and realize we got to reveal some information as to why this guy is completely MIA. I think it's in Manoah's best interest or someone from his camp to respond.
Yes.
Because the reports are indicating this guy was petulant and basically said, I'm just not doing it. And now isn't pitching, isn't working out, is basically out of sight, out of mind. And if that's the case, that's a horrible look for Alek Manoah. Yep. I don't think he can find a way to sugarcoat it necessarily, but maybe he can add some context to it.
Yeah.
And I would suggest, if I'm running his PR, you better get out and speak or leak something to someone in the media. Hey, this is actually what happened. Unless it's true that this guy basically said, I'm not being demoted, I'm not doing it, I'm taking my ball and going home.
That's what the report is? He just said, screw this?
Well, effectively, he was against the demotion and basically was like, I'm not showing up.
Yeah.
And if that's true, that is incredibly childish. I think that's horrible advice. And it's really sets off some red flags. I mean, the reports are well documented. He showed up out of shape at spring training.
Yeah.
His statistics were terrible. His stuff was awful all year. And now at the end of it, you decide I'm basically going to take my ball and go home. If that's true.
If that's true, that's an attitude problem.
That's troublesome for Manoah.
Yeah. It's been a disaster of a year for him, but where do they go from here? That's the $1 million question. If you're the Jays, do you be like, we're done with this guy, or we'll see you next year type of thing? You better come back.
Good question. Do they put their stake in the ground and say, listen, the next time you pitch, it's in Buffalo. Like, I don't care how good you think you are in the spring. You are going to be penalized for your actions.
Right.
You are pitching in Buffalo before you come back up. I don't know. Are they vindictive like that? That doesn't scream modern day sports. 30 years ago, this guy might be honestly pitching in the
Yeah.
in single A.
California Penal League.
Yeah, this guy could be pitching winter ball somewhere.
Yeah.
You know.
But I mean, it's a something smells
Yes,
there. But
it's ugly.
Again, we don't know both sides. That's the
We
thing.
don't. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things when you have the young stud in any sport and you hand him the keys to the car and it's everything his way, everything you get, the money, this and that and the other. And then all of a sudden there's some adversity and he's like, screw this, I'm not going down to the minors. Screw it. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, I have no idea what the hell you do with that guy. I have no idea.
No.
What are the other veteran guys in the Jays clubhouse think of that? I would be very curious.
I'd be curious as well. And you look at the game last night. Now, maybe he wouldn't have been on the mound anyway, but Bassett did not have his A stuff.
Yeah.
And he went back out there in the sixth, and he got hit. He got hit hard, and that game got carried away, and the rest is history. Now you're down 1-0 in a series of 4, and Scherzer's on the mound waiting for you tonight.
I was channel surfing and went back just in time for the Grand Slam.
Tough timing.
Like, that was tough
Yeah.
timing.
No, it's
And
not good.
I was
I
like,
mean-
all right, that one's done. We'll go back here. But
Yeah, not good. It's not good, right?
yeah, bounce back.
Not good, huh?
Hey, you could still have an opportunity to win 3 or 4.
Yes.
Right?
Listen, if they get 2 of 4, they're happy. They're not ecstatic, but they're okay with that. Now you got to win 2 of the next 3, and you're leaving, and you're probably in pretty good shape because Seattle lost again last night. Seattle's lost 4 in a row.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got Texas on your heels. You got Seattle on your heels, but you got some breathing room, and there's no one else. Boston's done. They're out.
Yeah.
Yankees are done. They're out. So, we'll see what comes of it tonight. We'll continue to tee that up. Keegan Matheson will join us from the park later this afternoon. Camp's opening in the NHL relatively soon.
NHL news?
And there's some wild stuff cooking in the National Hockey League. So, Spit and Chicklets, which is obviously a very popular podcast. Biz, Whitney, Ryan Whitney, a lot of guys that we're familiar with.
We know the guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Biz is a dialed-in guy. Biz has been around the league. He played in the league. And he told the story on his podcast about what he had heard some players were subjected to in Columbus from Mike Babcock. And the report, and I'm paraphrasing here, was effectively Babcock was asking for their phone in meetings to look up pictures to see what they had been doing throughout their summers, what was going on with their families.
It's weird.
And then hatching it into his, I guess, like system in his office, and the pictures were running through his TV. Like in the office, you know how there's that program that you can just like filter through
Apple Air,
or whatever. Like we have that in our kitchen. It kind of freaks me out because there's just like a picture out of nowhere. It's like Griff shows up out of nowhere. I'm like, why is that thing still
10
in
years
existence?
ago, you standing there
me
with
like
the mic,
this
yeah.
day one. I'm like, can we get that out of the system, man? We don't need that in the cloud. Can we get rid of that cloud? So anyway, pretty explosive report about Mike Babcock and the way he's operating. And it got to the point where the NHLPA investigated, the NHL investigated, like they went public saying, we're aware of this.
Yeah.
We're going to go look into it. Because of the magnitude of the podcast, the popularity of Biz, those guys. I mean,
And
it's,
Mike Babcock
and
being
Mike
a
Babcock.
polarizing person. too.
Absolutely. And Mike Babcock has issued a joint statement because Boone Jenner was named. Biz mentioned Boone Jenner being at the forefront of this, and Boone is the captain of the Blue Jackets. Babcock responded earlier this afternoon, quote, while meeting with our players and staff, I asked them to share off their phones family pictures as part of the process of getting to know them better. There was absolutely nothing more to it than that. The way it was portrayed on the Spit and Chicklets podcast was a gross misrepresentation of those meetings and extremely offensive. Those meetings have been very important and beneficial, not only for me, but for our players and staff as well. And to have them depicted like this is irresponsible and completely inaccurate, end quote. I'm not surprised that that was going to be the interpretation of Babcock, right? There was a while they were like, what's Columbus going to do here? They're supporting Babcock. He's still the guy.
Yeah.
He came out. He's not denying that the phones were there, the pictures were there. He's denying that it was a gotcha situation or what's going on with your phone, any crazy pictures in there. And Boone Jenner, who again was named, on the Spit and Chicklets podcast, he also issued a release statement saying, quote, while meeting with Babs, he asked me about my family and where I'm from, my upcoming wedding, and hockey-related stuff. He then asked if I had pictures of my family, and I was happy to share some with him. He showed me pictures of his family. I thought it was a great first meeting and good way for us to start to build a relationship. To have this blown out of proportion is truly disappointing, end quote. So I guess that puts it to bed from Columbus's perspective.
It's just a bizarre thing. Like,
It is.
I don't know why anybody would try that in 2000 at any time. Like, it's usually like, do you want to grab a coffee or a beer and we'll shoot the breeze, talk about golf? Do you want to play 9 holes, have lunch? To do something like that is just completely ridiculous. I don't know why he would think that that would be a normal thing to do.
Yeah,
and I'm kind of shocked that it's not like that. It was just on the Columbus's end, just kind of put to bed like that, where it was like, this is the part of relationship building. That's just bizarre stuff. I'm sorry.
Unless it's exactly like that, unless the statement, like he was like, yeah, I'm not denying it. We did this, and like that's the only thing. Like I
know, but it's still bizarro world.
It smells like something smells.
But it's bizarre also because it's Babcock and his reputation.
Right. The reputation is earned from Mike Babcock.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth. He's a polarizing guy in this market, obviously throughout the league, in Detroit as well, where he won cups. But I was telling Hayes and Grappler off air, like I ran into somebody I hadn't seen in a long time over the weekend, and they were talking about, hey, you're married with kids. Like, show me your son. Show me. And I opened the phone, showed pictures. Now, I don't know if that's a normal conversation, but that's not what's being depicted here. That's what's kind of weird for me. That's what Columbus is saying. We did it that way. On the other side, Biz and the guys are saying that's not what we heard. So where's the truth? Like that's the
if the truth is, give me your phone. I want to see your phone and let me into the pics, and I'm going to then plug it into the TV in my office.
Yeah, that's weird.
That is bizarro world. That is way beyond, because anybody with, like, I would have said, dude, go eat your hat. Like, you're not taking my phone and plugging it into your TV in your office. What the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
Like the whole idea of the phone going into the TV and let me go through your stuff. It's just, I don't know. For a guy that would, like, his contract is ended, who you think would try to, it's stupidity to be like, if those things are to be true, it's stupidity and it's bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, again, from Babcock's perspective, it doesn't mean he was coming at it from a nefarious position.
Whatever way he thought,
Hayes,
he had to have known that this was somewhat idiotic to do.
Probably, but the players are falling on the sword for him, because Johnny Gaudreau's down in Vegas doing this circuit right now. Gaudreau's saying exactly what Boone Jenner said. It would suggest to me Boone Jenner effectively had the career of Mike Babcock in his hands. If his interpretation was, I felt there was a violation, I don't know why you asked for it, I didn't like it, and he went public with it, I don't think Mike Babcock's the coach of the Blue Jackets right now.
Right.
No,
he didn't.
You're damn right.
He didn't. Instead, he said, I had no problem with it. We were sharing. He asked, I showed. So if that's the case, again, we have this perception of Babcock, and I think it's understandable why people feel the way they feel about him. And as a result, he gets labeled as a guy that's always going to do the wrong thing or always be anti-player, because he's got a history of that. And maybe he's got a future with that. Listen, I'm not of the belief that he's been rehabilitating for 4 years. I don't think it was some coincidence that the second his deal with the Maple Leafs ended, he signed with Columbus.
Yeah.
He was
literally
waiting for every check to cash, and then he said, I'm back in. I'll take the job in Columbus. But everything he does is not necessarily from a I'm a bad guy angle, I guess is what I'm saying. And because it's Babcock, the flares are going off naturally. Right. And if Boone Jenner came out and said, I didn't like it, then this guy should have been gone. But if Jenner and Gaudreau are like, hey, I don't have a problem with it, then Babcock's the coach.
I do agree that everything that this guy does is most likely, it's not evil Mike Babcock, everything he does. But there's still, what people that have been associated with him in the past are concerned about is just the power trip, the power of give me your phone, let me see what's in there, to grown adults that are like, okay, I guess I got to show this guy my phone or whatever.
But just the thing is
like, what guy in their right mind as a coach in the NHL right now would even think about that process? I guarantee you polled 32 other coaches in the league. No one except this guy. So why is he doing it is the question.
I'd go there. If John Cooper walked up to me and said, hey, show me a picture of your family, I'd do it because I know John Cooper. And, you know him well. Like, I think it's Babcock. I think it's also a situation of interpretation. But you're right. If Boone Jenner was like, dude, that's private. I'm not interested in showing that.
But, Jamie, think about what you just said. John Cooper would never do that. He would never say, hey, show me a picture of your family. Not many people, like, say that.
Well,
they're like, how's the fan jam?
Well, I'll be
nobody
honest.
says, show me. Like, I got to, it's just like, what do you, no.
If you're a family guy,
I'm good.
I don't know. I'll be honest. I'm the other way. Like, if you're a family guy and you want to know
it's
about
usually
somebody,
offered up. Like, oh, you haven't seen the kids in 10 years? This is what they look like now. Not the other person saying, hey, let me see.
And let's clarify, there is a superior and not an inferiority complex here with Jenner. Jenner's a player. He's represented by the association. He's a vet. He's the captain. He's got money. But there is a power struggle here.
Absolutely.
Where it's one thing if your friend is like, hey, what's up? And then you're equals. Boone Jenner is not an equal with Mike Babcock. That is where there still is a level of interpretation here, regardless of what Jenner said, Goudreau said, where, he's the coach.
Right.
He's the coach. And if a coach asks you to do something, it can be awkward. Not that it has to be awful or like this massive violation.
But
there may be like,
though. It's
what
like,
am I supposed to
uncomfortable. Like, if he was uncomfortable doing that, then that's where you call it to the carpet. If he's not, he's like, it's not a big deal.
I agree with you
So,
there.
like,
I agree with you there. But I guess what I'm saying is it feels like when it's Babcock, everything is inflammable.
It's and it's noisy and loud.
Noisy
and
already.
They're not even to the ice yet.
They haven't even. That's the amazing thing. Camp hasn't even opened. Like, when would you have been exchanging pictures and setting up your office?
Yeah. It's
like, when would this have been happening?
Well, you're meeting with players. Like,
I guess.
I don't know. It just. I'm envisioning.
Only Babcock.
You're right.
Set
Only
up a
Babcock
situation
is this because I'm envisioning you're trying to get to know players, like Brad Treliving. He's trying to get to know Morgan Riley and all of this. Like, how does that conversation go down? It's probably normal. You go for lunch, you go for dinner, you talk about family, you talk about kids, you talk about all these things. I don't know how it got to like, well, it's being framed as like, well, give me your phone and it's got to be this and that.
Right.
If it went down that way, that's insane.
Yeah.
Like, that's using your power. And if you're uncomfortable, it'd be like, I'm not showing you.
Right. And on another layer to it is, it's one thing to say, hey, let me see it. It's another thing to walk in the next time and the picture's circulating around the office.
Weird. Like that.
If that's happening, that's strange, man.
If the comment was made, let me see your phone, period. It's just
that's I think crossing a line. But
especially like coach and player introduction. You have no relationship, no history.
I think the only thing that I would want more of in hearing this story is context. I want to hear how this transaction
you're
went
not going to
down.
get that from Babcock because he'll have his guard up.
You're not going to get it from Columbus. And
now the players are all on the same page. The team has collectively come together because this would have been DEFCON 5.
For sure.
Like this, or DEFCON 1, I guess. This would have been like everyone get together. What the hell's going on? Like the power of that podcast, the power of Biz.
Yeah.
He's got a massive audience, massive following. And listen, Paul is not backed off. Like Biz is saying, this is what I'm hearing. This is
what I heard. I'm not going to lie about it.
Yeah. And like Babcock, they haven't even started.
That's the thing, man. Like it's not.
And people are like, why do you have pictures in your office?
Dude, if me and Noodles went to your house.
It's wild.
If me and Noodles went to your house, like before September 7th when we started, and you sat down and said, give me the phones, fellas. Let's plug them into the. Noodles would be coming off the top turnbuckle.
It would be
splitting your forehead. We would be out the door. It's just
weird.
I don't get it. I don't want to make light of it either.
No, I know that. I know. And
it's just it's unreal that that would be his attempt to get to know one another. It's ridiculous.
And that's I guess what I'm saying is it looks weird, but it doesn't mean that Babcock is thinking that way.
Right.
That he's thinking I'm jamming.
But I just
he thinks he's being inclusive, I'll bet, and hey, this is a great practice to bring everyone together.
Right. And in fact, it's stupidity. Like, ask somebody else their opinion on that tactic, because it's stupidity.
All right. Jesse Palmer in about a half an hour. Keegan Matheson from the Park confirmed that I still to come. We'll head down to New York. The voice of the Jets will join us. How did he feel calling that game last night? We'll get to that next. Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Jesse Palmer making his return in about a half an hour. Keegan Matheson from the Park, Jays Rangers tonight. Max Scherzer on the mound. Not ideal, but it's all good. Jays, they're looking to recover after a tough outing last night.
Need a bounce back.
Have to have a bounce back tonight.
Beat down.
Yeah, mandatory bounce back tonight. Now, the story in sports last night was the debut of Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
And the scene, I mean, September 11th, he runs out there with the American flag. MetLife was going crazy.
Yeah.
And his first drive, he blows his Achilles out on the fourth snap.
Didn't they say last night that was the most people that have ever been in that building as far as tickets sold? I thought I
didn't hear that.
I thought I heard that on the broadcast.
Well, we got a guy on the line that might be able to confirm or deny. He could confirm or deny. He is the ESPN play-by-play voice of the New York Jets. Here is Bob Wischusen. Can you confirm that, Bob? Was that a packed house last night more so than anything you've seen for the Jets?
In the world of the Jets, yes. I mean, they had a Super Bowl there.
Right.
So I don't know if that was the most people that have ever been in the building. But I don't know. Maybe we could talk about if Nylander should sign sooner. Can we just change the subject?
We could give you takes on Nylander. We could give you takes on Nylander. Well, listen,
that'd be good.
Leaf fans, and I just did something on SportsCenter up here, like the most tortured fan bases, and I'll give you a guess who was 1 and who was 2. It was the Jets were 1, the Maple Leafs were 2. And I said if Rodgers didn't blow his Achilles out last night, it might have been the Leafs at number 1 because the Jets had such a great mojo going into the game. But you were there, you were calling it. I mean, take us through your process when you saw him down, when you saw him leave the game.
Yeah, I mean, exactly what you would think, right? Like the entire offseason here has been this story. This is more of a Giants town than a Jets town. And yet no one was talking about the Giants for the most part. Like if the New York football talk pie chart on local radio here was broken up, it's been 80-20 Jets all spring and summer, and Hard Knocks obviously added to that. And I've, had people, like one guy, Rich Cimini, who covers the Jets. I'm 27 years now as a part of the Jet broadcast, and I think he's got 10 years on me. I think he's 37 years in covering the Jets. And he said he never in 37 years has seen an individual person, Parcells included, when he came to coach the team, like impact, it seems, every layer of every person in the building with just that one person's presence. So all of that was supposed to start last night. And 4 plays in, it was over. That was it. And now you're back to really exactly what we were last year, which is a really, really complete and good team that could maybe go win the Super Bowl if the quarterback can hang in there, and wondering whether or not now your young quarterback, Zach Wilson, can do that. And now that becomes the theme of this year again.
So when they say that Zach is the guy, I mean, it's tough to say things with any kind of confidence when you just lost the guy that was supposed to get you over the hump and get the deal done. Like, is that what they do? They're just going to roll with Zach? Is there any chance that this kid could take advantage of this opportunity and kind of grow up and wake up and be an awesome quarterback for this team and help them get it done?
Yeah, but there's always that chance. I mean, he's not going to make a leap from the struggles he had last season and being replaced by Aaron Rodgers to now getting this job and all of a sudden jump up and go to the Pro Bowl. But, last year they were 7-3 at one point with him primarily being the quarterback. And for anybody that knows the Jets, I mean, the last time they were any good when Rex Ryan was the coach were Mark Sanchez's first 2 years. And Mark was every bit the rookie and second-year quarterback. He was throwing more interceptions than touchdowns, and it wasn't about him. They had a really, really good offensive line. They were like the number 1 or number 2 running team in the NFL. They had a top 5 defense, and they basically played around him rather than through him. And so, at least in the short term, that is certainly what they're going to try and do here. Now, the receivers that they have on this team, the skill guys for Zach to get the ball to, are better than the skill guys that Mark Sanchez had to get the ball to. I mean, they really were just a pounded-in-your-face, running team where it was just, we're going to hand it to Thomas Jones, hand it to Sean Green, and we're just going to come straight at you and once in a while throw a play-action pass. And you can't do that if you have Garrett Wilson Alan Lazard. They've got 3 tight ends that can all catch the ball. They didn't have that kind of depth back then. But they're going to want him to move the ball around and get it to those guys, those playmakers. But having said that, the more, you trust him, the more the ball gets put in harm's way. Philosophically, I think they're probably going to try and be at least similar to what they were in 2009 and 2010. And hopefully, as you said, maybe he grows into this as the year goes on, and some of those lessons that Aaron Rodgers has taught him sink in. And, I'm thinking Aaron will still be visible at least on the sideline, headset on, in his ear, maybe the kind of the pseudo quarterback coach for Zach Wilson, because Aaron really has been incredibly invested in all of that, including being a tutor to Zach since he first showed up.
We're chatting with Bob Wischusen, the ESPN voice of the New York Jets, ESPN play-by-play radio guy down in New York. Again, the Jets winning the game last night, but Aaron Rodgers ending his season 4 snaps into it. What is your read on his future in New York? You mentioned you think he'll still be visible and around the team, but we know he's not going to play. Do you have a projection on if he ever will play again for the New York Jets?
Well, those that know him best that I've heard say things today about him have said things like, he's not going to want to go out this week. He'll want to go out on his own terms. He's not going to want an injury to tell him he's not allowed to play anymore. So will he now go through the process you have to go through to come back from this kind of injury to play again next year and give this another shot? Man, I hope so, because at least selfishly from my standpoint, I was really looking forward to watching it this year. Mm-hmm. I'd like to at least have a chance to watch it next year. But, Damian Woody, offensive lineman, you see him on ESPN all the time, probably the morning show on Get Up with Mike Greenberg. He had this injury, and it ended his career, because as an offensive lineman at least. Because basically he got 3 or 4 months into the rehab of this injury, and he was like, you know what? Nope. I've done this for 10 or 12 years in the NFL, and this is brutal, and I'm really just not willing to pay this price. This is my body telling me it's time. I've had enough, and I'm done. So is it possible that Aaron Rodgers might start that process, and all of a sudden at some point in the winter we hear he's just like, I had a great career, and I won 4 MVPs, and I won a Super Bowl, and I'm done. I guess he could say that, but there have certainly been some, at least media people, like Pat McAfee, who seems to know him very, very well, came out and said he would be stunned if this was the end for Aaron Rodgers, because he's just not going to want to have the end of his career dictated to him this way.
So you're calling a game last night, obviously an emotional roller coaster with the build-up to kickoff, and then Rodgers gets injured, and then there's this almost miraculous comeback that was really spurned by the opposing quarterback. Like, you're watching it. I'm sure you've called dozens of Josh Allen games. The story is Rodgers. The story is the Jets. Yet in Buffalo, they don't care about Rodgers and the Jets. They care about their guy. You saw it up close and personal. How concerned would you be if you were in Buffalo that Josh Allen played like that last night and the Bills lost even though Rodgers got hurt?
Yeah, the Jet defense has really tortured him. They've created, I don't even know how many turnovers. They've beaten him 3 out of the last 4 times that they've played. But the Jets have a really good defense. If they're not the best defense in the NFL, they're certainly top 5. So, and they played like it last night. They shut them out in the second half all the way up until the game-tying field goal. They played basically 14 minutes and 59 seconds of shutout fourth-quarter football and the entire third quarter as well. So they're good. But, yeah, that's your division rival, and he turned it over 4 times last night. That was certainly the primary reason why the Jets won the game. So, his decision-making at times and ball security is still a legitimate concern. There's no question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sure is, man. It's going to continue going into next week. He is Bob Wischusen, the voice of the New York Jets. We really appreciate you finding time for us, Bob. I know it's a busy couple of days down there, so thank you for doing this.
Yeah, can we drop the puck?
Yes.
Are we close enough to that I can start looking forward to it? I get to go to Vegas for opening night. So I'll see a banner raising, so I've got that to look forward to.
Attaboy. Okay.
Awesome.
There you go. Yeah, no, we're feeling okay up here in Toronto. I don't know about down in New York. You got 3 pretty good teams in the greater New York area. I think the Devils are legit. We'll see, Bob.
Devils are stacked.
Yes,
Devils
they are.
have some weapons, yeah. And you know what? As a Jet fan, maybe at some point we can get a whole bunch of Leaf fans and Jet fans together. We could all go bowling or something.
Yes.
And swap war stories.
Yeah, we'll make that happen. Let's meet somewhere. Where can we meet? In Rochester. So we're right in the middle.
Yeah,
we'll meet.
Go. Perfect.
All right, Bob. Thanks.
All right, guys. Thanks.
There he is, Bob Wischusen.
You
Top
actually
5 tortured franchises.
you said Leafs and Jets. On
Oh
your
yeah,
with Gino.
Yeah, I got the modern. Oh, I was with Corey. I'm all over the map on Sports Center tonight.
I did see.
I'm with Gino. I got a 5-pack list. I got a lot of things going on. But I got the suit on, man. I got the suit on.
Wow.
Looking good, feeling good. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I got the Jets at 1. I guess I'm spoiling the list. You can find out on Sports Center. Look at
Wow.
me now saying I can't reveal on the show. my
Top
list.
10 tortured.
Can't reveal.
Was it top 5 or top 10?
5, yeah, tortured fan bases.
Can
So
I-
I'll give
can
you
I
the
guess?
Leafs and Jets. You want to guess the other 3?
Yeah, Buffalo Bills are up there. They went to the Super Bowl 4 years in a row, dude.
Yeah.
That is some torture.
That's
Anything out
true.
of Cincinnati?
No.
No.
Listen, they got Burrow and Allen. I didn't include them. When you realize how many teams you could include, it was more about the teams I
Sacramento.
excluded. I didn't mention Sacramento. I didn't because I don't think anyone cares enough about Sacramento. So that was my reasoning. I'm like, I can't even include them because I don't think they exist.
Did the Cowboys make it?
No, I guess you got to find out. I got the.
OKC Thunder, I
No.
bet, is up.
There's no disrespect, Arizona.
Hey, no disrespect to Arizona. It's not the Coyotes. I wouldn't dare do it. I save my
Wow.
takes on the Coyotes for this show.
Torture fan bases.
Yeah.
Like,
Get the Knicks in there. You ever think of the New York Knicks?
yeah, I guess the Knicks, yeah.
Knicks are in there.
Oh, God, they should be number 1.
The
Sorry.
Knicks are in there for sure. I had the Cleveland Browns.
Okay.
I went back and forth between them and the Lions. But the Lions, maybe they got something going. And then the next one was more of a recency bias, but I put the Angels in there. I put the LA Angels.
2 of the best
Dude,
players.
if you didn't
that'll
put the
never
Lions in there, the list is a joke. Like, the Lions, come
I know.
on.
I had to go back and forth, Cleveland or Detroit, and I went with Cleveland.
Yeah.
You could do a 25-pack. Like there's going to be NHL franchises. Like people in Vancouver are going to say, "Are you kidding? What about us?" Like the Canucks come up a lot.
Yeah.
Never won a
finals.
cup.
They
Went
did
to the finals. Had it.
Yeah, I went to the finals
Game
twice,
7
right? Didn't they?
twice.
Yeah, because they did Game 7 against the Rangers in '94, and then 2010. Was
2010,
it?
I guess.
Wow,
or
you must have had a
2011.
busy. What did you start shooting at 12 noon and you've just been letting it fly? Wow.
Yeah, did a little YouTube hit there with Gino. We're making things happen, man. We're making things
Moving and
happen.
shaking. I love
We
it.
are making things happen. All right, Jesse Palmer coming up in about 20 minutes. Keegan Matheson from the Park tonight. Jays Rangers. Game 2 of their 4-game series. Confirm or deny still to come as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, Jesse Palmer will join us in about 15 minutes. Confirm or deny still to come. There might be a Mike Babcock confirm or deny.
Might have to.
Mike Babcock. He's back in the NHL. And he's
Making some noise.
To think that would be an approach to get to know somebody, it's a ridiculous thing to do. I'm sorry.
Well, listen, Columbus, they went to the well with this guy.
Dude, I get it.
You
They
know,
have
they're a
to,
believer in him, and he's a winning coach in the NHL. Regardless of how you feel about him and his tactics,
I don't
the guy
disagree
wins.
with that. I always
That's what he
thought
does.
Mike Babcock, he should have got another shot where he can kind of reflect. Everybody deserves another shot. You don't just throw people in the garbage for missteps along the way. I totally buy into that. But for him to start his tenure in Columbus with that approach,
That's
like
what
it's
stinks.
It's stupidity.
That's
There's
what
no other
stinks.
way to it's insane to think of that approach, and it's flat out stupidity to think that would be a normal course of action to do that.
Well, and that's $500 out of your pocket because I don't think they're making.
There's no way they're making the playoffs
They
now.
might make this might galvanize them. The team will
Babs
stick together.
and his
You never know.
photo, iCloud is going
I
to
don't
lead
know.
this team on a playoff charge. I don't see
It
it.
stinks because the season hasn't even started, and there's already like a weird feel about it. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
well, because it's going to be about Mike Babcock. Like, that's what the whole story is going to be. How, and listen, he's in a similar spot to where he was when he showed up here in Toronto. Like, Toronto was not a good team when he arrived, and it was his responsibility to build them back up and supply structure and lead them in a direction where they can be competitive. He did that.
Yeah.
Now, it helped that certain players showed up, too. That was obviously very helpful. But his job in Columbus is to completely restructure how they operate and effectively put them on the map.
Yeah.
Because they are a team that doesn't really have a national identity. Not a lot of people are focusing on Columbus. And yeah, you got Johnny Gaudreau there. That was a big signing. You got Linnaeus. Werenski's a very good player. But when you think of Columbus now, you think Mike Babcock. And it's going to be the Mike Babcock show.
And that's what's anybody that knows him and can't stand him, that's what they believe that he always wants, is the Mike Babcock, regardless of how talented the teams are around him. It's always about Mike Babcock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't expect that to change. I think that will continue. That doesn't mean it has to be a detriment or they're going to lose because of it.
No, I was just hoping the noise, it wouldn't be so noisy like 2 weeks before training camp about
you would
this guy,
you would think
know,
Boone Jenner would have come out and said, it was a really practice today. That's the hardest we've worked in 2 years. Instead, he's saying this guy asked for my phone and plugged it into his TV.
All right, hour 2 coming up. Jesse Palmer will join us, confirmed with the nice still to come. Jays Rangers tonight. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.